Hi, and welcome to the Senior Living Show. I'm Vicki Rogers. We've got a wonderful show for you today. We're going to be talking to Patty Nazer. She's the owner of Senior Home Transitions. It is a wonderful organization. Her fees are none. You don't pay her anything, and she gives you all the great advice you need. If you're thinking about putting mom or dad, getting some extra care, assisted living, putting them in a place that will be better for them so they can have more social time, she's got all the advice for you. Going to give you lots of tips on that. We're also going to talk to Scott Neal from caregivercircle.com. He's got advice on avoiding crisis and when to have difficult conversations. So that's going to be helpful too. Also, we're going to be talking to Scott Wiganist from AARP. May is Military Appreciation Month, and he's going to tell you all about honoring your veterans and what you can do to help do that, and also help them with other financial situations too. So it's a great show, fun-filled. Hopefully you're, recovering a little bit from Derby yesterday, and hopefully you're going to have fun today. Sit back and enjoy the Senior Living Show. We'll be right back.
For over 65 years, families have trusted Coit to deep clean just about everything, all backed by our 100% satisfaction guarantee. Clean as new. That's the Coit commitment to you. Call 1-800-FOR-COIT today to schedule your Coit cleaning and save 25%.
100 years ago, we were selling appliances like these. Things have changed over the years, but one thing that hasn't is our commitment to our customers. And our growth has allowed us to carry the best selection of today's top brands. We wouldn't be one of the nation's oldest appliance dealers if we didn't provide professional salespeople and custom installation. The same thing that was true 100 years ago is still true today. There's no hassle at Bonnie Castle.
For over 65 years, families have trusted Coit to deep clean just about everything, all backed by our 100% satisfaction guarantee. Clean as new. That's the Coit commitment to you. Call 1-800-FOR-COIT today to schedule your Coit cleaning and save 25%.
Hi, and welcome back to the Senior Living Show. I'm Vicki Rogers, and our guest today is Patty Nazer. She is the owner of Senior Home Transitions. This is a great organization. Patty, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes, and I understand that you help families navigate one of the most important, difficult, I would think, conversations of, does mom or dad or a family member need to go to an assisted living facility? Do they need help at home? What do they need to help them with their daily needs? And you are the pro. So tell us, first of all, about what is the timing? How do you decide if somebody actually needs to move?
So it's different for everybody. Sometimes someone has dementia, and the time then is, obviously if they're exiting the house when they shouldn't, like in the middle of the night. If they're burning stuff on the stove, you definitely don't want them at home cooking. But most importantly, a lot of people miss this. If someone has dementia, it's just enough to confuse them a little bit, and they're isolating themselves. And they're just existing in their home, and they're not really living. So that's really important, to not let them just exist in that home, because there's a big whole wide world where they can live a really good life and be in a community setting with friends and have things to do and keep on living.
And live a better life.
A much better life.
Yes. So when do you think is in-home care then appropriate?
So in-home care is really appropriate for someone if they're just needing help with bathing or dressing and needs help running errands or going to the grocery or something like that. You can have in-home care 24 hours a day if you want. It just depends on what kind of quality of life you're going to have there. Are you going to be able to get out and do things? But if you're kind of set on being in that community or in that home and not able to get out, then I would say a community setting would be better. But there's lots of times when in-home care is very appropriate. And it also can be very expensive, so you got to watch out for that, because at $22 an hour it can really rack up.
Okay. And what about financial assistance, speaking of the money?
So what's really interesting is in Kentucky, you have VA aid and attendance benefits that can help pay for surviving spouses or the veteran, that can help pay for either in-home care or assisted living or memory care. You have Medicaid that pays for long-term care in a nursing home. But because we are right across the river from Indiana, Indiana has a Medicaid waiver program that actually pays for assisted living. So here you would have to leave assisted living and go to a Medicaid bed in a nursing home if you ran out of funds. But in Southern Indiana, you would be able to stay in the assisted living community. So sometimes if someone's short on funds, we introduce them to some really beautiful communities in the Southern Indiana area so that they can go into assisted living there and stay in the community.
I think that's wonderful. One of the coolest things that I love about you and what you do is that your services are free to the families.
Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So everybody asks the question, it's not taboo. The way we get paid is we have contracts with literally every community in about a 50-mile radius, and they pay us referral fees. So we get paid for the work we do. We, we don't get paid for in-home help, but we are very happy to help someone stay in their home because we'll eventually place them when the time's right. We want to do what's right for the individual we're helping.
And one of the most fascinating things that I've heard you say is that you speak dementia. Tell us about that.
Yes, so there's actually an art to speaking to someone with dementia. You can't ever argue with anyone. You will never win, so you never engage in that type of conversation. You have to learn how to kind of divert their attention or their thought process to something where you want to talk about, and you got to keep it simple. You don't want to confuse them. So we try and help families learn how to do this when they're caring for someone. I'm actually a certified dementia care practitioner. Not that I do any caring for someone with dementia, but I really help families figure out how can I make this work. And so, it's a developed talent. Both my parents had dementia, so I had to develop it over years.
That's awesome. How can folks get in touch with you?
They can reach me through the website at www.seniorht.com, or they can call me at 502-396-9228.
All right. Once again, Patty Nazer with Senior Home Transitions. Thank you so much for being with us
Thanks
today.
for having me.
Yeah, great information. I know you're going to want to find out more. And we'll be back with more in just a few minutes on the Senior Living Show.
Burkhead Heating and Air Conditioning, your independent Trane dealer, has been serving the Louisville area since 1947. The customer service is second to none, and their job is not complete until you are satisfied. Call 367-1212 for all your family and business needs. Burkhead Heating and Air Conditioning, your independent Trane dealer, is the company to keep you comfortable year-round. Call 367-1212 today. You're a step ahead with Burkhead and Trane. It's hard to stop a train.
Welcome back to the Senior Living Show. Paul Najar here alongside the Associate Director, State Director of AARP, Scott Wigenest. And Scott, welcome to the show once again.
Glad to be here.
And it's May, which means it's all across the nation. It is Military Appreciation Month. What a way to honor our veterans, especially culminating with Memorial Day later in the month. But as it's the first week of May, we've got quite a few things that we can discuss that AARP working in conjunction with the military to help our veterans.
Paul, one of the first things we know is almost 4 million of our AARP members are veterans. And we recognized years ago that we needed to find a way to meet their needs. They've served the nation, and we think now it's time for us to serve them. So from family caregiving to fraud prevention to making certain that they're getting their VA benefits, AARP has been working on, in Kentucky, has been working on this for about 3 years. We've got some terrific volunteers who are veterans helping us lead this effort.
And you talk about so many veterans across the country, 291,000, almost 300,000 of them right here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And you and AARP are doing some really good things, as you just mentioned. But you just talk about how important that connection is in working to get them what they need as they need it.
The real connection for us is working with our local partners like Lady Veterans Connect, the VFW, the American Legion, the National Association for Black Veterans here in Kentucky. And what we know is increasingly women are the largest growing number of veterans in the United States. So there's some special needs there. Where we are going now is we are going to have a series of events across the state, 3 of them, to make sure that veterans get a checkup on their VA benefits.
And it's not just reaching the veterans, it's also reaching the veterans' families that can really help once they get a spark, once a family member, and I've got a nephew right now in the Army, and I salute you, little Lee. Go get them. But you want to reach those families to say, hey, here's another option. That can help us help that family member. Right. It's AARP.
Yeah, and I think one of the things is they've earned these benefits through their service, and they need to know what's available, how to apply for them, and make certain that they're getting those. And we work with members of Congress and their staff across the state to try and facilitate some of that. But I think the real key right now is we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Vietnam, and so many of our World War II veterans are growing older, and now the Vietnam era veterans are needing these services as well. And so we need to make certain that they are getting the services that they've earned.
One of the interesting things you mentioned before we conduct the interview was about veterans serving veterans and trying to help really specifically that homelessness issue among our veterans in the Commonwealth. And you also had something an interesting statistic that you brought up as well.
Last week, Lexington Mayor Linda Gorton made it clear that they had effectively ended homelessness in Lexington. And the real story behind that is, A, they're taking care of that social need, but there was a terrific effort by the local partners, the VA, Congressman Andy Barr's office, the National Association for Black Veterans, Lady Veterans Connect, VFW, American Legion. All of these service organizations were pulling their resources together to make certain that no veteran was homeless in Lexington.
That's incredible stuff, Scott. And you also have a Welcome Home Veterans program that will be conducted down at Fort Campbell in coming months.
Every year at Fort Campbell, the Welcome Home Veterans celebration, this year it's in September 19th, is a week-long celebration of veterans in and around Fort Campbell, put on by AARP Tennessee and the local Chamber of Commerce, and they do a great job.
And as someone who appreciates so much, and it's what the military does, and the organization AARP, it shows that appreciation in extending these opportunities. And how can people find out more, Scott, about what AARP does and what you can do to help your family member or friend or that person you may know who has served in the military get those resources that you provide?
Two things. One, make sure you thank them for their service.
Absolutely.
Two, visit us at aarp.org/veterans. That's where we've housed all of our resources online. You can download them and pick up what you need.
This little handout right here, this little one page that you gave me, what an incredible source of information. You'll find this on the website, correct?
Right, correct.
And what great information.
And we're going to make a special effort on Facebook, AARP Kentucky's Facebook page, to make certain that veterans know that they're appreciated and that we value their service.
As do we all, Scott Wigenast with AARP. Thank you so much for your time today. And Scott, where can they go to find out more about the resources offered through AARP?
Paul, you can go to aarp.org/veterans. That's where we house all of our resources for family caregivers, fraud prevention, and other veterans benefits.
And that's good stuff. And we want to thank you for working with them and all the great things AARP does to help our veterans get the services they need. Thank you.
It's been a privilege.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Scott Wigenast with AARP. And we'll be back with more on the Senior Living Show.
A few years ago, I was very embarrassed about my weight. I had lost weight in the past, but no matter what I tried, I just couldn't seem to lose it this time. I needed a plan. Imagine that. I needed a coach. That's when I turned to InShape MD, and wow, did their program work. I lost 42 pounds in the very first month. Now, I'm down 73 pounds, and I feel tremendous. It worked for me, and it will work for you. Let InShape MD be your coach, and you will love the results.
For over 40 years, Superior Van and Mobility has been providing Louisville with state-of-the-art mobility solutions. We offer the latest vehicle conversions by Braun Ability, as well as custom lifts by Bruno. To go along with our knowledgeable, friendly staff and our expansive inventory, we now have an incredible new showroom and service center at 1506 Lakeshore Court near Hurstbourne Parkway and I-64. Stop by or visit us on the web at superiorvan.com.
Welcome back to the Senior Living Show. I'm Vicki Rogers. Our guest is once again Scott Neal, who is the president of D. Scott Neal Incorporated and founder of Caregiver Circle. Welcome back.
Thank you, Vicki.
Now, today we're going to be talking about avoiding crisis. Nobody likes a crisis. And it seems like that when a caregiver becomes a caregiver, it's either a surprise, it's thrust upon them, they're not ready for it. How can we plan for those things?
Yeah, well, those are the two ways that most people enter the caregiving arena, and that is that they either plan for it and are ready for it, or they enter in some sort of crisis. I think it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway, that most decisions made in crisis are at least suboptimal, if not downright bad. So we can't eliminate all the crises in our lives, but we can plan for many of those that are predictable, and we can minimize them. I got a call at 11 o'clock one night, and my cousin was on the phone, and he said, "You've got to get here now." And I knew that he was 100 miles away. And I said, "Exactly where are you?" And he said, "I'm on your front porch, or your mom's front porch, with your mom." And I knew then that things were going according to plan. What had happened was my dad had Alzheimer's disease, and my mother was his caregiver, and my dad, a very docile fellow, was dozing in his chair, woke up and discovered my mother standing there and knocked her down, thinking that she was a burglar in the house. She took her cell phone, ran out on the porch, locked the door behind her, and was out on the porch with my cousin, and he had called me. And he, of course, was in a bit of a panic because he wasn't read into the plan, and that was on us. We had not properly planned by telling him what he needed to do. And so long story short was that Mom and I had rehearsed that scene several times, and she knew that if she ever felt unsafe with my dad in the house, that was what she was supposed to do. So typically, it's that call that comes in without a plan, that you have to make decisions on the fly, and none of those are ever good decisions.
Well, and of course, everything can't be planned for. So what do you do about that?
That's right. But there are a large number of things that you can plan for in the caregiving role. And most of those are actually quite predictable.
Okay, like what?
Well, we think that the housing question can be really settled well before it's ever needed. Most people do want to age in place at home, but then what happens when you can't age in place at home any longer? Where are you going to go? I just had that conversation with someone today. The question who will coordinate my health care when I am no longer able to coordinate it myself, and what kind of documents do I need to have in place? How will elder care be funded? That's a question that can really be addressed well ahead of time before there's ever a crisis. And we've already talked about in past segments about the legacy leaving, and all of those kinds of things can be planned for ahead of time. And I'm also a believer that you can plan your final goodbye, and it's tough, but it can be planned for and facilitated in that way.
That's so interesting. Now, I know you deal with these and several other topics in caregivercircle.com. Tell us about that.
Well, caregivercircle.com is a resource that is really a decision support center for families that are boomers, Xers, millennials who are taking care of their aging parent who need to make these decisions, and it's really designed to help them.
All right, and where can they find out more?
Well, come to caregivercircle.com. We talk about things like this.
And we'll be back with more on the Senior Living Show.
A 100 years ago, we were selling appliances like these. Things have changed over the years, but one thing that hasn't is our commitment to our customers. And our growth has allowed us to carry the best selection of today's top brands. We wouldn't be one of the nation's oldest appliance dealers if we didn't provide professional salespeople and custom installation. The same thing that was true 100 years ago is still true today. There's no hassle at Bonnie Castle. 100 years ago, we were selling appliances like these. Things have changed over the years, but one thing that hasn't is our commitment to our customers. And our growth has allowed us to carry the best selection of today's top brands. We wouldn't be one of the nation's oldest appliance dealers if we didn't provide professional salespeople and custom installation. The same thing that was true 100 years ago is still true today. There's no hassle at Bonnie Castle.
Everybody wants to know what's going on in Louisville this week, so right now we're going to show you the community calendar. Welcome back to the Senior Living Show. I'm Vicki Rogers.
Paul Najar here, and Vicki, it's day after Derby. You recovered yet?
Yes, I'm already recovered. I've had a lot of rest this morning, and we're thinking ahead, as we always like to do. 1 week from today, it's Mother's Day.
It's the way it goes in Louisville. It's Derby Day, Mother's Day. It goes hand in hand.
Yes.
And I know that once you start, you get those winnings from your successful Derby and Oaks bets that Scotty Davenport so graciously gave us last week. You now transition. Now, what do we do for our moms on Mother's Day?
Well, I'll tell you, I love my mom, and she's a big fan of the show, so hi, Mom. It's always special, I think, to give something to Mom that you can either make yourself or a photo that you can have framed. Well, I really like to do that. And then, of course, you can get those photo books made of special photos and have them put into the books, which, we've had guests on there to talk about that, too. That Amy Brooks Hoffman from Fleur de Lis Photo Solutions. That's all great gift ideas. But you have something very special right here.
I do.
Which I love this, and I'm going to steal this idea.
This is something that was really great and really touched us all. And one of the things you want to do for Mother's Day is always to give them a great memory, right? As our mothers age, you want to give them that opportunity to reflect on things, but also perhaps, and this is the gift that gives back to you, this was something, Vicki, that was really terrific. My sister-in-law thought of this, and as one of 11 kids, she got one of these for everyone. She made this frame, she put the canvas on it, she painted it, and then she got Mom to put her hands on this frame, and a great little message for each one of us, and I'll turn it that way so we can see that too there at that camera, and a great little message to each one of us
Yeah, and it says, Paul, my hands will always love you. Mom, with her signature with a Sharpie.
And this is her perfect handwriting, and it's just something I will never forget her hand. I will always remember her handwriting. So this was a great little idea, not very expensive at all, and something that it touched us all. When we got this at Christmas time, my sister-in-law, Karen, you did a great job with this. We were all touched.
Yeah, and there's one other idea that we had too. It's called Skylight Frames. If you've never heard of that, you can go to skylightframes.com and look it up, or you can also, I believe you can get it at some of the retailers around town. What it is it's a picture frame that sits on Mom's countertop, and with our smartphones,
tech gadgets.
Yeah, you take a picture and you just boom, send it to Mom, and it boom comes on her picture frame in her house.
And it's something new, and then she gets a little update and keeps up to date with us. And there are little rituals that we all do with our moms, right? I mean, it's Mother's Day. What's one of the rituals? I know when we were taping the show, you've gotten a call from your mom, and you had to stop everything. We were ready to roll, and she said, "Wait, I got to take this."
Yes. Whenever my mom calls, I always answer the phone. Always. No matter what, even if I'm really important meeting, I'm like, it's Mom. Got to take the call.
It's right from above, right?
And since you have such a large family, you have rituals.
Well, we have to be careful. We have to manage our time. There are 11 of us, so we got to manage our time. And I get prime slot in the morning. I know she gets a wake-up call from one of my sisters, maybe two, but we get to play the Daily Jumble. She gets the newspaper every morning, and the Daily Jumble, we unscramble the words, we solve it, and it might only take 5 minutes, it might take 6 or 7, but it's that opportunity to hear that voice and to keep together, keep that conversation of life going as we progress. So it's always special.
All right, I love the jumble.
I love the jumble. It's so fun. And as we conclude our show today with those thoughts, remember Mother's Day next week. Do a good deed for Mom, and this thing's always good.
Yes, at least send a card.
Oh, exactly.
Get it in the mail. Send flowers too.
A nice little personal note in there as well. And, and we want to say, as we say thanks to our moms, we want to say thanks to our guest today, Patty Nazer.
Yep, from Senior Home Transitions. She's got a lot of great information for us. As always, Scott Neal with tons of great information from caregiverscircle.com. And
Scott Wigenest with AARP and it's the National Military Appreciation Month. May is, so thank those veterans out there. So
anyway,
thank you, Vicki.
Thank you, Paul.
You got it. For Vicki Rogers, Paul Najar, we'll see you next week on the Senior Living Show.